Have you ever been caught in a downpour while camping, desperately trying to light a match that keeps going out? Imagine doing this not as a weekend adventure, but as a matter of survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The Inuit people have mastered the seemingly impossible art of fire starting in wet conditions for thousands of years, using ingenious techniques that modern survival experts are only now beginning to fully appreciate. What if I told you that with the right knowledge, you could start a fire in the pouring rain using materials found in nature? Stay with me, because I'm going to reveal ancient fire-making secrets that could one day save your life. Before we dive into these life-saving techniques, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another survival skills video. And if you're serious about outdoor skills, check out the link in the description for my complete wilderness survival guide. Now, let's get into how the Inuit masters of the Arctic create fire when everything around them is cold and wet. The Inuit people, indigenous to the Arctic regions of Alaska, Canada, and Greenland, have developed remarkable survival skills over thousands of years. Living in one of the most unforgiving environments on our planet, they've perfected techniques that allow them to not just survive, but thrive in conditions where temperatures regularly plummet below 40°F and where rain, snow, and moisture are constant challenges. Fire isn't just a comfort in the Arctic, it's the difference between life and death. It provides warmth, light, a way to cook food, melt ice for drinking water, dry wet clothing, and signal for help. But how do you create fire when everything around you is soaked? These are the challenges the Inuit have solved through generations of accumulated wisdom and ingenious innovation. When materials become wet, water molecules occupy spaces where oxygen would normally be. Fire needs three elements to exist: heat, fuel, and oxygen, the fire triangle. Water interferes with this process by preventing oxygen from reaching the fuel, absorbing heat energy, and cooling the material as it evaporates. In the Arctic, these challenges are compounded by the scarcity of traditional fire-making materials. There are fewer trees, especially in the tundra regions. The constant presence of snow and ice means that materials are often already damp or frozen, and the cold temperatures make the fire-starting process itself more difficult. Yet despite these immense challenges, the Inuit have developed effective solutions. So what's their secret? One of the most important lessons from Inuit firemaking is the value of preparation. Unlike modern campers who might wait until they need a fire to start gathering materials, traditional Inuit fire starters are always collecting and preparing materials in advance. When traveling, they would gather and carry dry materials whenever they found them, even if a fire wasn't immediately needed. These precious fire-starting materials would be kept in special containers, often made from animal bladders or waterproof skin pouches, ensuring they stayed perfectly dry regardless of external conditions. The Inuit became experts at identifying and harvesting the most fire-friendly substances in their environment. Arctic cotton grass, with its fluffy white seed heads, makes excellent tinder when dry. The inner bark of certain Arctic trees, particularly paper birch, contains natural oils that help it burn even when slightly damp. Arctic willow catkins, the fuzzy flower parts that appear in spring, catch fire remarkably easily when dry. Animal-based materials were equally important. Dried Arctic hare fur, bird down, and the cotton-like undercoat of muskoxen were all collected and used as premium fire-starting materials. These animal fibers contain natural oils that make them somewhat water-resistant and more combustible. The Inuit also developed something similar to dryer lint by scraping the fine, partially decomposed wood dust from beneath the bark of standing dead trees. This material, similar to what we now call punk wood, is incredibly effective at catching and nurturing a tiny spark into a flame. Even in rainy conditions, certain locations naturally protect materials from moisture. The underside of fallen logs, the interior of hollow stumps, or the area beneath dense evergreen trees often contain relatively dry materials. The Inuit understand that while a piece of wood might be wet on the outside, the interior could still be perfectly dry. By splitting sticks and logs to expose the dry inner wood, and then shaving these into thin curls or splinters, they create fuel that will catch fire despite the wet conditions outside. Another technique involves looking for standing dead wood rather than fallen timber. Trees that have died but remained upright are naturally raised above the wet ground and often have areas that have been protected from rainfall. One of the most impressive aspects of Inuit firemaking is their ability to create dry microclimates, even in wet conditions. Using their clothing, animal hides, or quickly constructed shelters, they would establish a protected space where the fire-making process could occur without interference from rain or snow. Traditional Inuit parkas, made from animal skins with the fur facing inward, created natural pockets of dry, warm air against the body. Fire-starting materials carried next to the body in these garments would not only stay dry, but would be warmed by body heat, making them easier to ignite when needed. For more substantial protection, the Inuit would construct temporary shelters specifically designed for fire starting, or dig into a snowbank to create a small cave. Snow, despite being frozen water, is an excellent insulator and can provide surprisingly effective protection from wind and falling rain or snow. The bow drill is perhaps the most well-known traditional Inuit fire-starting method. This ingenious device consists of a bow with a leather or sinew string, a hardwood drill, a socket, often bone or hardwood, and a fireboard with a small depression. By placing the drill in the string of the bow and rapidly moving the bow back and forth while applying downward pressure with the socket, the Inuit would create intense friction between the drill and fireboard. This friction generates heat, eventually creating a glowing ember that can be transferred to waiting tinder. In areas where suitable wood was scarce, the Inuit developed alternative approaches. The fire thong used a strip of hide or sinew wrapped around a piece of wood. By pulling the ends of the thong back and forth, friction could be generated with fewer wooden components. Another technique involved using iron pyrite, fool's gold, and flinter quartz to create sparks. When struck together, these minerals can produce hot sparks capable of igniting the finest tinder. The quilik represents one of the most ingenious solutions to the challenges of Arctic firemaking. Traditionally carved from soapstone, this shallow crescent-shaped dish with a wick, made from Arctic cotton grass or moss, used seal oil or other animal fats as fuel. Unlike an open fire, the flame of a quilik is much more protected from drafts and moisture. It can maintain a steady flame in conditions where an open fire would quickly be extinguished and could be kept burning for extended periods with minimal fuel. This was particularly important during the long Arctic winter nights. The Inuit would often maintain a small ember, carefully protected in a special container, which could be used to ignite the quilik without having to create fire from scratch. This fire carrying was a common practice, reflecting the value of maintaining fire rather than repeatedly creating it. Once a small flame has been established, the next challenge is building this tiny beginning into a sustaining fire despite the wet conditions. The Inuit understood the importance of gradually building a fire from very small to larger, adding progressively larger pieces only as the fire gained strength. They also developed specific arrangements of fuel to maximize burning efficiency in wet conditions. By creating platforms of drier wood, they could elevate the fire above wet ground. By arranging logs in certain patterns, they created structures that promoted airflow while allowing moisture to escape as steam. Perhaps most impressive was their understanding of fire as a drying mechanism itself. The Inuit would position slightly damp materials near, but not directly in the fire, allowing the heat to drive out moisture and prepare them for burning. In this way, a small fire could gradually process wet materials into usable fuel. MODERNADAPT, ATIONSOFINU, ITTECHNIQUES. Today's survival experts and outdoor enthusiasts have much to learn from these traditional Inuit techniques. While modern technology offers convenient fire-starting tools, the principles developed by the Inuit remain invaluable, especially when those modern conveniences fail. Modern survival training now incorporates many concepts directly inspired by Inuit practices. The emphasis on preparation, the careful selection and protection of tinder materials, the graduated building of a fire, and the creation of protected microenvironments. Even with all our modern gear, the fundamental challenges of fire making in wet conditions haven't changed. Water still interferes with the fire triangle in exactly the same ways it did centuries ago. This is why the time-tested solutions developed by the Inuit continue to prove effective. What lessons can we take from the Inuit approach to fire making in wet conditions? Always carry multiple fire-starting tools and materials, including some that are effectively waterproof. Learn to identify natural tinder materials in various environments, looking for fine, fibrous, and preferably oil-containing substances. Practice creating protected microenvironments for your fire building process, whether using a tarp, natural shelter, or your own body to shield your fire-starting attempts from rain. Develop the habit of collecting potentially useful fire-making materials continuously, not just when you need a fire. Learn to look in the right places for dry materials, even in generally wet conditions. Understand the graduated approach to building a fire in challenging conditions. Start small, be patient, and add larger materials only as the fire gains strength. Consider carrying a small portable stove as a modern equivalent of the kulik. The Inuit mastery of fire making in wet conditions stands as a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. Through careful preparation, deep environmental knowledge, and clever techniques, they solved one of the most challenging survival problems in one of Earth's most demanding environments. Whether you're a weekend camper, a wilderness survival enthusiast, or simply someone fascinated by human adaptability, the Inuit approach to fire making offers valuable lessons. It reminds us that often the most effective solutions come not from complexity, but from a deep understanding of fundamentals, in this case, the relationship between fire, water, and available materials. The next time you find yourself struggling to light a campfire in damp conditions, remember the Inuit fire makers of the Arctic. Channel their preparation mindset, their material knowledge, and their patient, graduated approach to building flame from spark. If you found this exploration of Inuit fire-making techniques valuable, please hit that like button and share this video with friends who enjoy outdoor adventures. Leave a comment below with your own experiences trying these methods or questions about other traditional survival skills you'd like to learn. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos exploring Indigenous knowledge and survival techniques from around the world. Until next time, stay warm, stay dry, keep that fire burning.